So, dear colleagues, the final session, the last 90 minutes of thematic sessions before we go into the moving forward process after lunch. I have the pleasure to introduce you to a person who has two jobs. He will set the scene and he will also be the moderator so that I can take a break. Or you can take a break from me. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for session 9, Building Resilience Through Sustainable Livelihoods, we requested the country program coordinator of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, also known just simple as IFAD, to be our setting the scene speaker and then taking over the role as a moderator and guiding you through the session. We intend to finish at 1:30, have then 1 hour lunch break, and then have an accelerated session 10. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Ghulam Nabi Mari. Okay, that was not good enough for me. He's working as a moderator and setting the scene. So please give a warm welcome to Mr. Ghulam Nabi Mari. Yeah, that's better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you everyone. I can see that still the tea is going on. You can continue with your tea as well. I will just start with thanking the organizers, the GIZ and the government as well. I'm happy to represent IFAD as well here. We've been witnessing to hear and to see the disaster resilience, the data issues, and now I want to make you to go through the livelihood session. Now in social protection, the livelihood opportunities are very important, so my part will be on that side. I will be framing few datas, few questions, and it will be followed up by the 2 other presentations, and then there will be a panel discussion. Okay, next please. Okay, I have to do it, yeah. Let's see, okay, here it is. Yeah, so a few livelihood challenges in Pakistan. You can see that Pakistan is heavily, populated in terms of the population. Not only that, but we have a very high young population as well. I mean, if you see the youth population from 12 to 29, we have 65 million. And 70% of population is below 30. So you see there is a huge potential for the youth to unlock their potentials. I will not go into details of these macroeconomic data, but just a few figures that 27% of Pakistan population is still severe into the multidimensional poverty. The most vulnerable country index with regard to the climate change, it ranks in the 5th number. And also, if we see the productivity of the land is the less productivity in terms of the land, and the ownership of land and the labor force productivity is also very low. Pakistan's big, I would say, comparative advantage is agriculture, and is heavily dependent on agriculture. 21% of the GDP is contributing from the agriculture sector, and 65% of rural people's livelihood comes from agriculture sector. Especially if you see the rural labor force, it counts about 80%. More importantly is that there are almost 8 million smallholders which have the lands less than 5 hectares, 90% of them. So the food security is also very much depending on this 8 million small farm holders who are feeding this country. But unfortunately, you will see at the later stage that they themselves have a big challenges. if you see the productive gap, I mentioned as earlier that there are very low yields, especially if I give you an example. For example, wheat yield in Pakistan is half of those in China. Similarly, the cotton yield in Pakistan is 2 times lesser than in China. And the skill of the farmers are also not so much competitive as compared to the regional countries. Lack of access to modern knowledge, agri-tech, finance, and capacity building, they are all comprising to the problems. I mean, adding to the problems. So if you see the IFAD comparative advantage in Pakistan, we have, IFAD have been here in Pakistan since 79, 80s. But if you see especially the current portfolio and especially creating the livelihood opportunities, we have 6 ongoing projects in Pakistan at the moment. And the portfolio is comprising about $500 million US. Almost we have a footprint in all 4 provinces, including the Gilgit-Baltistan as well. The interventions with regard to the livelihood project opportunities are, we work with the value chain interventions, especially in fisheries, agriculture, livestock. Again, we work with strengthening the institutional capacity of these organizations. We do the physical infrastructure intervention as well, especially the irrigation and land development, farm to market roads, agriculture and development improvement, especially with regard to the value chain services to the cooperatives, and other livelihood opportunities like asset provision, vocational training, access to finance, and community food banks. With regard to the social protection and especially livelihood opportunities, we have few projects, and later on in the panel discussion we will further elaborate on it. But I would like to have a couple of points from the NPGP, National Poverty Graduation Program, and the South Punjab Poverty Graduation Program, to take few points like how this livelihood opportunities work with respect to modeling into Pakistan, and how it gave a profitable, or you can say a kind of respectable livelihood living to the rural community. So in one of these projects, we call it South Punjab Poverty Alleviation Program, we identify the community through the BISP poverty scorecard. We then see what kind of skills or what kind of opportunities can be provided to them. It can be with regard to the asset transfer, with regard to the growth. We have also provided some low-cost housing for the poor women. Here we brought women in front, and we first say that that particular land should be transferred in the name of the woman, and then we construct a 1-unit house. It went very well. The vocational entrepreneurship training is going well, and then we provided like a revolving fund. So here the catch. So we identify some youngsters or some young women, and then we train them in a particular skill. And once they are trained for a few months, then we provide them a kind of loan or even a grant in some cases of from 50,000 to 150,000. And then they buy a few tools and equipments and to continue with their skill into a business model. And we have seen in some of the districts of South Punjab that it's working very well. So you see this transition of poverty graduation and then sustainability of this livelihood, making them a respectable living. So this model has been very successful, and now we heard that this model is being scaling up in the Ministry of Poverty Alleviation, and very soon the government will be taking over the NPGP and this model into the next phase. If you see, I mean, the targeting inclusion part of the IFAD, as I said, that we put rural women and empowering them as a main objective in our whole portfolio, especially if you see the rural women inclusion in our model. If there is an asset transfer, if there is a household unit construction, if there is a skill training, mostly the women are given priority on that. As I said, that if there is a one unit construction for the people, for the women, for the household which they don't have any house for themselves, and they fall in a particular band of poverty line. So we make sure that this household unit is in the name of the woman, and then we put, do the construction of the unit for the family. This created a kind of, we interviewed some household, and they said that we felt a kind of empowerment at home. Before we were not even asked by our neighbors, by our society, like when we don't have a house, a particular accommodation. And now, especially when we have an accommodation, our social capital has increased in that sense. And this we have witnessed. And the household, being a woman, she felt a bit proud. And there was an inspiration for others as well to see how women can be in the front line, being a part of the livelihood, especially, for example, if we do the asset transfer of the goats. Here again, the women are in front line, and they take responsibility to feed their family through this assets building. This is actually my last slide, and at the end I will, when there will be a panel discussion, we will frame few questions, and then we expect that these questions will be addressed or reflected in some way. So with this, I will stop here, and the presentations will continue. We have two more presenters before we do the panel discussion. So I will take lead on this and give a rest to Joe. So I will invite the next presenter, Mr. Amjad Saqib Saab, the founder of Akhuwat Foundation. Please have applause for him.
It's a great pleasure and honor to talk to such a brilliant audience. We're all here to support Pakistan, to fight poverty, to build a better society. So thank you very much, all the international agencies. Specifically, I would like to thank Mr. Naveed Akbar from BISP and the BISP team for inviting me to this August gathering. So I will be talking about, the main theme is building resilience through sustainable livelihoods. So first of all, what is resilience? And what is sustainable livelihood? We all know, but there is no harm if we recapitulate. The resilience is the ability and the capacity of individuals and societies, the communities, to withstand, adapt to, and then recovering from adversities. So this is all. We are victim of such adversities: floods, famines, rains, earthquakes. So the resilience manifests the courage, determination, hope of an individual or of a community to fight against these things. And what is sustainable livelihood? This we all know, but it is a way of earning a living that ensures long-term economic security So the objectives are not short-term, but long-term. And sustainability into itself manifests long-term perspective while preserving environment and preserving social resources for the future generations as well. So this is the basic concept. And what is Akhuwat? Very briefly, I would like to tell you, most of you, my distinguished friends, know this is a not-for-profit organization established in 2001. The mission is alleviation of poverty through empowering socially and economically marginalized communities. We all know that poverty is not economic only. It is political, it is social, and it is moral as well. So we promote inclusivity based on the ideology and the philosophy of Mawakhat. This is purely indigenous and faith-based concept, Mawakhat, which was presented by our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, when he said that one person coming from a resourceful family, if he holds hand of a person from less privileged section of a society, so this individual relationship is called brotherhood or Mawakhat. So we are following the same principle that if Pakistan has 50% haves and there are 50% have-nots, so one person to one person, one family to one family, if we follow the glorious tradition of Mawakhat and establish a bond of solidarity and friendship with less privileged, so we have a chance of building a better society. Empowering communities and individuals through interest-free microfinance. This might intrigue few people that what is interest-free? Interest-free, in fact, is the riba-free capital, which is the, our constitution embodies this principle that we will be getting rid of riba very soon. But above all, this is a faith article that all transactions should be free of interest. So we provide small loans to the poor people for different projects. These all are interest-free loans or benevolent loans, kind of a loan which you give to some of your friends and don't ask more than the amount which you give. So it doesn't involve taking cost of capital. Developing community support system, organizing people into like-minded groups where they work together, where they help each other, where they build their linkages, where they start savings, where they get microfinance services, and their linkages are improved with the outside world. And then we also started another program that if loan is given without interest, then higher education should be given without fee. So if a brilliant boy or girl has the ability to move ahead in life, but he is or she is unable to pay the university fee, then what we are doing? We are wasting a great asset, a talent. So we have designed a system and developed and established a university where students, both girls and boys, get education, don't pay their fee today, but we expect them to pay their fee after 10 years. So this is a long-term Qarz Hasan. Vision, mission, I have already spoken. Now very briefly I will tell you about the microfinance interventions conducted through the Akhuwat. First of all, the principles. And the foremost principle is Qarz Hasan. As I mentioned, the benevolent loan, providing interest-free loans. Then use of religious places for social interaction, social intermediation. We use mosques, temples, churches, and other religious places where we get together and build the capacity of the people and do this financial and social intermediation. Akhuwat is a blend of necessary compensation and volunteerism. Most of its employees get salary, market-based salaries, but a large number of people are rendering their services as volunteers. Then, once we give a loan to a poor people, we tell him that in you, we see a donor, somebody who is giving to somebody else when he or she comes out of poverty. So this is a great message that we inculcate in the minds of the borrowers, that somebody has established the bond of brotherhood or mawakhat with you. Now this is your turn, that if you come out of poverty, so you should embrace somebody else, one more family. So this is, moving ahead from one individual to another. No discrimination, we derive inspiration from the Islamic spirit of mawakhat, but we work for all caste, creeds, colors, and faiths. There is absolutely no discrimination. And it might be interesting for you who are sitting in Karachi that we utilize temples in interior Sindh, especially in the areas of Thar for this microfinance program, and the Hindu community has started naming a Khovat as Bhagwan Bank. So this is their way of thinking what we are doing. So inclusive approach, we include the persons with disabilities, visual disabilities, hearing disabilities, physical and mentally challenged people, and transgenders. So it's an all-embracing and all-inclusive approach. And reciprocity, there is a vicious cycle. We want to create a virtuous cycle. If you do something good with me, my great friend is sitting in front of me, former secretary, BISP and poverty alleviation, getting inspiration from him. So this is the virtuous cycle which we all are trying, we should try to create. Because vice gives rise to vice. So why not we do something good with our friends and expect him to, continue this cycle. This all, is a brief reflection of the principles which we follow at Akhovat. What are the different products? We give loans for the business purposes, small businesses, and there are 150 businesses which could be started with amount less than 100,000. Then agriculture loans, as we were seeing, that the 20% of GDP comes from agriculture sector, and 95% of the farmers are landless or less than 5 acres of land. So we provide them livelihood opportunities through giving loans for the agriculture sector. This also includes livestock and housing. Very interesting product. You will be amazed to know that during the last year, that was the calendar year 2024, House Building Finance Corporation distributed 148 loans for building houses. House Building Finance Corporation, which is the primary institution. And Akhovat alone disbursed more than 20,000 housing loans. So this is how we are focusing on the housing issue. Then the liberation loan. Liberation loan is another unique product. The people in rural areas, they are victim of high, interests. The money lenders charge them 100, even 200%. So we provide that loan to those people. They give it to the money lender, and they get rid of riba and interest and start paying us the capital amount. So more than 30,000 people, families, we have liberated from the chains of high interest. Very briefly, housing finance, 61,000 houses have been financed so far. The amount disbursed is 32 billion. And this is all of Pakistan, specifically the rural areas, the flooded areas, and the most vulnerable areas because of these all calamities. So astonishingly, rate of recovery is 99.95. For us, it's not astonishing. For many people, it is astonishing because we believe in people. We believe in their integrity. We have a trust-based model. So This is right from the day one. We started program of Islamic microfinance in 2001. Alhamdulillah, this is 99.95%. And in flooded areas, we have published a book. I will be happy to present it to all of you. There is a coffee table book, and this is the story of true resilience and courage and determination of the people of Pakistan, because in flooded areas, we gave loans to more than 6,000 families to rebuild their houses. So in these 40,000 are the new constructions, 7,000 around additional one room or a kitchen or a bathroom, and then repair and maintenance, 13,000. Agriculture, we have provided 400,000 plus loans, 22 billion rupees, 100% recovery. Who says that agricultural loans are risky loans? So this is the story of last 8 years. Many ups and downs came during those 8 years, many floods, many calamities, and 95% were used by male and 5% by female. And this is the real program which we started with. Just a few minutes. 6 million loans have been disbursed so far. The amount is more than 200 billion, and recovery percentage 99.9%. So this is a humble effort to build resilience through financial intermediation, and the 46% are the female. So the total amount, enterprise, agriculture, and housing, we have 800 offices, 56% male borrowers, 44 female borrowers, currently around 600,000 active borrowers. Total amount distributed in all types of loans, enterprise, agriculture, and housing is 254 billion, and outstanding loan portfolio is around 44.9 billion, and rate of recovery is 99.5. So I will very briefly tell you that we have established a college, then NJV school in Karachi, then a center of excellence in IT in Faisalabad, then a girls' college, and we have taken over 600 government primary schools. And you will be happy to know that when we took these schools, the enrollment was only 6,000, and now it has reached 100,000 students. So what a great jump in, So then we have small skill related courses in IT, etc. So conclusion, what can we conclude on this effort of Mawakhat, brotherhood, solidarity, and sharing our resources with some families who have been left behind? Access to capital, encouraging strong mutual, person-to-person, family-to-family, and community bonds. Building resilience through sustainable livelihood is not just only financial support. Please, this is extremely important. This is just providing financial support will not build resilience. It is all about inculcating trust, which is manifested by 99.9% recovery and conversion of our borrowers into donors. Then dignity, self-respect, self-reliance, and then connectivity, social connectivity. So this is extremely important for this whole objective of creating a resilient society. Then empowering marginalized groups, especially women, transgenders, and disabled people. Then interest-free lending is a viable alternative to conventional models and charity. We neither believe in giving charity because that compromises self-respect. And we cannot live in a society of beggars. So neither we can, put extra burden, 30%, 40%, 50%, 70% on the shoulders of the poor people. So there is a midway. There is a way of Mawakhat, and the way which our constitution makes it imperative, and what our faith teaches us. Poverty cannot be alleviated by doing business with the poor. We need to establish a bond of love, care, and friendship. involving indigenous institutions. As I mentioned you, the mosques, the schools, the panchayats, the community centers, the temples, the gurdwaras, every religious faith. Non-discrimination, obviously. Spirit of volunteerism. Market-based solutions cannot alleviate poverty. There should be a spirit of giving, compassion, and empathy, and volunteerism. Public-private partnership is extremely important. How does public institutions shake hands with non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, and the private sector? How to scale up? You all know it. Just to remind you that the policy alignment, government policies must prioritize skill development, social protection, economic inclusion. And a cohesive multi-sectoral approach is needed. Then collaboration, partnerships, as I mentioned, international institutions. But I will have to complete my, I have traveled right from Lahore, come to here. You cannot give me 2 more minutes, then I will finish over here. I have some interesting story, and I'm sure our audience will support me. So the policy alignment, collaboration between civil society, between the state, and between the international organizations. And of course, continuous monitoring and evaluation on data-driven. All those strategies should be based on excellent data. And then community engagement. Government alone cannot alleviate poverty. International organizations cannot alone alleviate poverty. They have been doing this since last 70 years. So I will be very humbly requesting that unless you involve the individuals, the philanthropic sector, and the non-profit organizations, only then we will be able to create a platform where we can, wage this war. So you will be happy to know that this is the last slide. And I'm only saying that together, including your good self, IFAD, European Union, GIZ, and all donors and state, we have, these are 4 important words. Together means all of us. Challenges, we know what are. And we need to convert these challenges into opportunities. मेरा ख्याल है सारे लोग उर्दू भी समझते हैं, तो इन मुश्किलात के उफ़क़ के उस पार एक खूबसूरत रोशनी हमारी मुंतज़र है. कोशिश यही करनी है कि कैसे हम अपने इन मुश्किलात को इस इम्कानात के वसी उफ़क़ में बदल सकते हैं. ये 25 करोड़ लोग जो हैं, ये बर्डन नहीं है, ये रिसोर्स हैं. इनके अंदर बेहतरीन सलाहियत है, ताकत है. वी नीड टू हैव फ्रेंडशिप विद देम. हमें उनका हक देना चाहिए. इस धरती पे जो कुछ है वो रब का है, और जो रब का है वो सबका है. एंड वी आर नॉट डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग equitably. So this is the last thing, and this has been changed. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Amjad Saab. No, I really like that. Let's create the cycle of virtue. We have heard many times the vicious cycle, but let's create the cycle of virtue is really good. And I can see that he emphasized on the access to finance. I tell you that I was reading one of the State Bank of Pakistan report that access to credit is less than 4% in Pakistan to the youth. And we have seen that the bulging youth is like 65 million people in Pakistan. So, sorry, as a moderator and as a facilitator, I have to cope up with the timing, and each presenter was given 10 minutes. Anyway, so my next presenter is from the government of Pakistan, from Ministry of Planning and Development and Special Initiatives. He is the Chief of Sustainable Development Goals, Mr. Ali Kamal. Please.
Assalamu alaikum, and almost, I think it's 12. Good afternoon. Can you change it? Okay, right. Sir, very motivational and inspiring speech by Dr. Amjad Saqib, who's a mentor for everyone. And thanks for mentioning that these 250 million people are not a liability and a burden on us. It's a potential for a demographic dividend, which we should have it in the next 15 years, because still the total fertility rate is going down, our population growth rate is not going down, and for the next 15 to 20 years, we will have the population growth rate very similar to 2.55%. Thanks for having me. Thanks to EU, GIZ, German Corporation, KfW, BISP, and our own hero from BISP. So So Saqib Sahib has already said about, is it necessary? Resilience refers to what? Building resilience is essential for sustainability, and it ensures long-term sustainability. Well, the main thing is well-being for the people, and in economics we always say that utility should be maximized, whether it's a selfish utility function or a philanthropic utility function, whatever it is, but well-being is the most important thing, whether it's done from new classical, new libertarian, or a social protection, or a blend of those models. It is necessary to basically have the well-being of the people. Development side, there's a development side of social protection, there's a welfare side of social protection, and then there is Stephen Deverick's side, which is adaptive social protection. So everything is there, but let's see what's in the game. We need to align all the stakeholders. There are multiple stakeholders preventing coordination failure, which is the main concern for all the government policymakers, because we all fail in coordination. There are actors, governments, development partners, NGOs, communities. I'm just taking these four. And then there is a cooperation and coordination versus individualism and silos. I'm again happy to see everyone almost, as Rabia mentioned, almost, because there are several formal associations, I must say, are not here, but several government parties here, because there is an informal and a formal social protection in the private sector, and informal philanthropic activities. According to Pakistan Center for Philanthropy, it is 1.1 to 1.2%, which is, if I account in GDP, then it is around 1.2 trillion rupees, which is going through philanthropy. So that is some kind of philanthropy in the private sector, which is still underestimated, but still BISP is getting $600 billion, or 600 billion rupees, and then social protection in other part of the provinces is again have a very meager amount. So we should have a one channel or one portal in which we have every kind of informal and formal, and then the BISP and other social protection authorities budget over there, so that we can have inclusive public investment decision making. That how should we tackle the problem of free riding? When I say free riding problem, that's one of the major case of floods and COVID-19. Whenever the government is asking that we will have a 1.2 trillion surplus stimulus package, then they will look at the donors, development partners, and international civil society and civil society organization there. How much you want to pitch in? If you are pitching in 600, then we are pitching in 600. So that means we are pitching in overall 1.2 trillion rupees. Then we have after the free riding, we have a moral hazard and asymmetric information. So it will be boring, but because after the numbers Dr. Amjad Saqib has already presented, it will be a conceptual type of thing which I want you to bear with me. It will be helpful in the policy making as well as in the panel discussion. So after the post-disaster, if we are asking any farmer to get insurance, or before the disaster we are asking the farmers to have an insurance, they will feel that no, you should pitch in first, and then we will decide whether to whether to take it or not. Support price is one of the examples of wheat sowing and harvesting, because when support price is announced, farmer has a confidence that we will sell it. Otherwise, we will not rely on the market phenomena. Then there's a behavioral adaptation, which include the data and the experience. We call it evolutionary game theory. And the early adopters will see that whether we have a benefit or we have a loss, and then if we have a benefit, then others will come in. If we have a loss, then others will go out. So that's why government always have a pilots projects. These are the reasons why we have the pilot projects. One of the three components given to me are the skill development, poverty graduation, and economic inclusion. Very shortly, as far as the skill development is concerned, individuals, education training institution, employers need to have a cooperative game type of thing. They need to align their strategies for the optimal decisions, that we will invest in this, then we will have the economic opportunities, they will get the employment, and that's a win-win situation for all. Otherwise, we are not. That's why NAFTEC has recently started an impact bond that we will train some people, they will get the economic opportunities, they will get the jobs, and then we will have economic growth increasing. That's a kind of social protection. Then there's a poverty graduation program, which has a sequential thing that the transition through different stages, because they are getting the asset transfers and then the financial independence, and the subsequent stages become self-sustaining. After that, we have economic inclusion, which forming alliance leads to improved access to credit and the markets. Having said that, these are the innovative approaches and successful models. So number one is Akhuwat again. Akhuwat is in Pakistan providing interest-free loans, and several other activities that they are doing, but in microfinance they are one of the champions. As far as social entrepreneurship is concerned, the Hunar Foundation offer vocational trainings. We are in a digital world, so DG Skill is there, who is creating freelancing opportunities for youth, and especially for the gender, for the women, who are doing several projects from home-based. There are several community-based organizations who are giving market power or online market power to small business owners. Then climate resilient livelihood program promoting climate smart agriculture. NRSP is helping them. NRSP help in Hafizabad area. They have build up the silos from the private sector, where they are procuring rice, so they are not dependent on the government of Pakistan anymore or government of Punjab. Renewable energy solutions are there. As far as public-private partnership is concerned, which is in Sindh, it is very popular, but in other parts of Pakistan, it is not very successful till now, though few may disagree with me. But Ba-Ikhtiyar Naujawan Internship Program at the federal level is one of the public partnership venture, which provide vocational training, business loan, and mentor to youth, and they are going abroad, they're getting settled inside Pakistan. And after that, there are CSR activities in Angro and Unilever that contributes to skill development. Ladies and gentlemen, there are several issues and several models important that who will do it, whether it's a PDMA, BISP, PSPA, or any other line departments. So adapting to shocks, several models we have listed on this slide, whether it's a weather index insurance for farmers, cash for work programs, early warning systems, prevent food shortages, subsidies for small farmers, government-backed health insurance, providing childcare support, women-specific social protection, or digitized data infrastructure. Whatever is the model in the world, there are some innovative models like Ethiopia uses weather-based triggers to expand support during drought and food crisis, as well as they integrate their early warning systems. Kenya has a satellite data and drought monitoring. Bangladesh has a flood prediction models. Philippines has a disaster response mechanism that is integrated with the digital system through mobile wallets. Mongolia combines private insurance with government social protection funds. Brazil I have a very good cash transfer programs. Mexico linked the government social protection to programs to prevent rural poverty, and that's why we created that there's an integration between it. Lastly, I'll stop here, and this is just for the information that Article 38A is there, and we have SDGs 1.3, which calls for social protection system, for everyone, including the floors, key to eradicating poverty and promoting prosperity. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ali Kamal Saab. I agree, the game is about aligning the stakeholder action, public investment, and private sector as well. And the innovative approaches could be microfinancing, social entrepreneur, and digital marketing or e-commerce. You nailed it, actually, and this will follow up with the panel discussion. I will here now invite Maheen to introduce our panelists for the next subsession, I would say. Thank you. Yeah, Maheen, please.
Great, so now we move on to our panel discussion, and as we set up, I'll just introduce the panelists briefly. By the time I finish, hopefully the setup will be ready, so I'll then invite the panelists to join us on stage. So first up, we have with us Mr. Arshad Rashid, who is the Chief Programs at the Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund, where he oversees strategic planning and implementation of socioeconomic initiatives to empower marginalized communities. For more than 26 years, Mr. Arshad has led community-led local development programs, governance reforms, and public-private partnerships. His commitment to transformational citizenry and state accountability is reflected in his efforts to combine policymaking, international cooperation, and grassroots engagement across Pakistan. We also have with us Mr. Asim Pasha, who brings over 25 years of expertise to his role as Chief Programs Officer at the Punjab Skills Development Fund, where he designs transformative skills initiatives that build resilience through sustainable livelihood opportunities for vulnerable communities. Guided by a commitment to serve mankind, Mr. Asim champions adaptable development approaches that create pathways to sustainable livelihoods, enabling communities to withstand economic shocks and build lasting resilience. Finally, we have with us Mr. Khurram Bhatt, who is a Senior Project Officer, Education and Skills Development at the Asian Development Bank. With over 15 years of diverse experience, his work currently explores the interaction of skill development and social protection, emphasizing how relevant skills can enhance livelihoods, foster economic resilience, and contribute to inclusive development. Good timing. So we're all set up with our panel. I will now invite our panelists to join us on stage. At the same time, I would also like to introduce the QR code we have for Mentimeter, if that can be displayed. So as you hear our panelists respond to Mr. Ghulam Nabi's questions, please post your questions or any thoughts that you have on Menti. You can scan the QR code now. Once we're done, we will see how much time we have, and we'll take one or more questions. Just make sure that you're able to scan the QR code properly and that you're on Mentimeter. And you can also engage with other questions, so you can upvote things, you can add your own questions, whatever works for you. Great. Is it on?
Thank you, Maheen. Thank you very much for the introduction. We have our three distinguished panelists here. So we have a set of some questions, but we will also, as Maheen said, there is a mentor, and you can put your questions if you like, or you can email us, and we will make sure that we can answer later on. So we have already set the mode, the tone for the rural livelihood opportunities with regard to the social protection. So I will just throw a question to our panelists, and feel free to jump on the question, please. So my first question is that what are the challenges in making rural livelihood more resilient and sustainable? I mean, in context of your ongoing poverty graduation program and with regard to your organizations. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much. So yeah, so I would just link all these things with broadly this skill development, like Dr. Sab also mentioned very briefly and talked about that one. That skill development is broadly a very brief pillar of this sustainable livelihood, broadly for that matter. And but we have covered many things, but broadly I would say. Skill development, there may be not one solution for all the problems broadly, but we can move, for example, talking about different regions, starting from where the opportunities of some mineral industries available, at some places fisheries, at some places some agriculture opportunities, and so on and so forth. So very specific solutions for some specific regions may be very much required for that matter broadly. If we talk about very specific about agriculture industry, before going to that one, I would say that this data integration for some taking a very informed decision about a very specific region, specific district, maybe that would be very much needed or very much required. That what exactly interventions or what exactly trainings or skill is required to address the challenges of those specific areas. Not only one side of supply side, but also need to demand side and supply side. The integration of that level is also very much required. Also in terms of data integration, if we talk about, so some data is available with the provincial government, some data is available with the federal government, or some data is also available very much with the private sectors as well. So data integration to take some very informed decision, that is very much required at these all three levels, horizontally and vertically as well. Because we have mindful of time as well. So I would say one very important aspect that may be missing with reference to our skill development sector, that is strategic communication. This skill development sector, that I would say is somehow in our culture, in our society, is not recognized as a very well-placed sector. So we need to communicate very strategically that what is the importance of and what is the role of this skill development and how can it leads to a better employment opportunities broadly. For example, we have now very better techniques, modern techniques may be available to enhance or to increase the profitability in the agriculture sector. For example, we can use hypothetically speaking, drip irrigation system or we can use some that can be used for water conservation as well, that can be used for the more effective use of this fertilizers and so on and so forth. But this and also we can for example do some value additions as well, how we can add values to our agriculture products. But these things are not very effectively maybe communicated to the to the different communities, that how these can be used, how can these be more effectively can be utilized. In addition to that one, this like the access to some new lands or access to some the financial institution, how can those resources can be accessed. So a more formal institutionalized sort of communication to all these people, that may overall add value to that one. So I stop here. If you have further question, we can respond. Thank you.
No, great. No, I agree that the communication strategy need to be strengthened and with regard to the skill development and to fill the gap of demand and supply in this sector.
So I would like to add on the same question. So Punjab Skill Development Fund's mission is to reshape the future of and well-being of the poor and vulnerable youth of Pakistan by providing them the state-of-the-art technical skills so that they can generate income for their families within Pakistan and outside Pakistan. Our operating model is a bit different as compared to other TAVIT sectors. Like we don't own any training institutes. We just manage fund through outsourced companies, and we just design program, monitor the program, and evaluate the program desired outcome. So it's a fund management organization. And coming back to your question, what about the rural areas? So we have 3 types of program. One is formal training institutes. The second one is industrial-led program. And the third one, the PSDF introduced, is the community-based program that was specifically designed for the rural areas of the Pakistan, because there is no infrastructure available neither through the FTIs nor through the industry, because they don't have infrastructure in rural areas. So what we did, we designed a program through different NGOs and the on-ground communities over there to design a program for the agriculture sector. Like we designed program for the livestock management and how to increase the milking, because most of the females are attached with the agriculture and livestock management. So we designed 6 weeks programs for them, so that the community-based training center established there for that particular period, so they are being trained, and so they can improve their livelihood through their agricultural livestock management. Coming back to the other point, specifically from the rural point of view, it's not about those females who are just attached with the agricultural livestock management. We need to take care of other women who are graduated from the universities. They are also living in the rural areas. So we have been given a program that designed a program for those rural women who are graduated or masters, but they don't have any opportunity in their respective areas so that they can generate income for their families. So what could be the solution? What we did, so we get the data from the urban unit that where are these females are located who are graduated or they did masters from their districts and go back to their homes. But due to our cultural barriers, you all know that there are mobility issues and some social pressures to the female. They don't go outside their home. So they need to be trained at their home. They cannot go outside the home because of their social responsibilities or family responsibilities. So we design a program where a woman will be trained on 6 different small modules, like basic English language skills, digital marketing skills, and then entrepreneurship, then e-commerce, and lastly, the product knowledge of they wanted to sell online. And then we will link them with the online platform. So they can learn all these programs through the online virtual training. We will hire somebody who will train them through virtually. We will provide them laptop or the desktop machines at their home. We will make setup at their home. We will go there, and then they will get training for 6 months on different modules, one by one, 2 months each. And once they will be trained, they will be certified through a renowned certifying body, and they will be engaged on all these platforms. So it's a concept of one product, one village, because there are certain villages where we can see a lot of good products available. There is a problem to attach to the market. So that's how they will be part of our ecosystem, and they will generate income by sitting at their homes. Thank you.
May I add to the specific aspect of the poverty graduation programs? I have been working on the bottom-up grassroots local development for a number of years. And the model that I have analyzed, the poverty graduation model that has been implemented in Pakistan, I think that there are certain aspects that would strengthen that. You cannot just have, let's say, 4 elements put together: access to finance, skills, and assets, and financial literacy. I think what is important is to look at an area targeting the area from the perspective of the data from the National Registry and target the poorest area, but also to assess the economic potential of that area. What are the opportunities, for example? If you would just go simply for the skills training for everyone, so what are they going to do? They would have access to finance. Yes, they would establish businesses, small businesses here and there, but that would be saturating. So I think what is important is to add the aspect of entrepreneurship in that approach. and I must mention the program that I had designed when I was in the European Union, because the EU had a long history of working on local development. The overall portfolio was more than 700 million euros spread all across Pakistan. So we were thinking that, okay, what next? What is the next level? How to take this entire community-driven local development to next level? How can we go, let's say, more toward local economic development? So the GRAS program that was designed, and in there, what we did was that we looked at the economic hubs. We look at the community institutions, we transform them into economic hubs, as well as into agripreneurs or entrepreneurs. And I'm happy to say, I mean, PPF is one of the implementing partners along with FAO and ITC. But the component that PPF is implementing relates to the community farmers mobilization as well as collectives enterprise development. And in 2 years' time, it has brought into formalized fold something like 44,000 SMEs. And I mean, they are functional, they were provided with capacity, business plans, and most of these SMEs are, let's say, we targeted 11 value chains. And these value chains are mostly horticulture, as well as the livestock. And it has created within 2 years more than 15,000 jobs all across in the 22 districts that it's working. So I believe that within the graduation program, that should not just end with the 4 elements. I think what is important to assess the potential, economic potential of an area, because until you don't come down to that area and exploit the economic potential, I think the sustainability of the poverty graduation model cannot be guaranteed. I believe that has to be linked to more local economic, formal economic development, enterprise development, value chains, and that. And then also bringing technology within the entire model. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you, Arshad Saab, and thank you, Asim Saab. Exactly, I think we can say that the community-led interventions are very important, and we need to take a bottom-up approach. And I like it, that transforming the community into community hubs for the rural development. Now they create a kind of engine for that, exactly. With that, I heard you that access to finance and land ownership is also very important. We saw in the framing presentation that we have a bulging youth as well. 65 million of youth are between age of 15 to 29. And as Mr. Ali Kamal and also Dr. Amjad Saab said, that the population in the coming days will not stop, and we will we will be having this bulging youth with us, and which is a big potential. We just need to unlock their capacity and their capability. So my question is how to attract this young generation towards this livelihood opportunities, and especially towards the agriculture. You have seen that, no? The rural. So the agriculture sector is a kind of food security for Pakistan as well, but it's in a meager situation as well. So I would like to hear that how we can bring this young generation into agriculture and into successful livelihood discussions. In context of skill development, I mean, you can say both on farm or off farm livelihood opportunities. Yeah, please.
So I think rightly mentioned, if we see that every year 2 million population is entering into working force. So out of 242, 160 million is out of work in Pakistan. I'm talking about in context of Pakistan. And if you talk about the industrial growth, that is minus 14% last year. So that's the only potential remains, as you said, agriculture. And we can work on that sector, because industrial growth is going down and down every year. Same goes for the economic growth. So I think in terms of massive trainings, if you need to provide at Pakistan level, we need to work digitally. Because it is not possible, the country like Pakistan, to provide physical trainings going everywhere, all around Pakistan. So we need to work on the digital side. That's what we are trying to achieve. Like in COVID, when COVID hit Pakistan, everything was closed, including the education and skill development sector. So at that point, what we did, because the challenge was there, how to cope up with this. At that time, we were thinking that life will go like this. So we tried to adopt the new technology, like we did the conversion of the physical content into hybrid. We converted the theory part to the video lectures, and the remaining lab part remained in the physical facility. So it divided into 70 to 30%. So all of the content was delivered online by trainees can get that training within their homes, and the remaining part they were going out. So we need to think about like that, how we can transfer our skill development part at Pakistan level so that we can provide digital trainings to our rural areas, especially in the agriculture sector. So I think we need to work as a policy decision making at Pakistan level.
Yeah, we just add to this one that overall, yes, again, I would say the role of communication overall. That would be really very important to how we communicate with the youth. So are we communicating with them in their language? Are we communicating with them in our very traditional or conventional old style language? So we need to communicate to them, okay, yes, first of all, at the macro level, we need to identify, first of all, that what exactly, through our R&Ds, that what exactly potential is available for that matter in different areas. For example, if you take example of fisheries, so a lot of potential is very much available for the local and with reference to exports as well. So needs to identify at our country level, at our macro level, that what exactly potential is available and what value addition can be brought in by the respective people at the local level, at the community level. And then in an effective and efficient manner, that needs to be communicated locally that this is the potential and you need to tap that potential broadly for that matter. And definitely youth, they can be further chip in all those areas. But the communication strategy, I would again say that is very critical, that how we communicate and how we communicate our message to them, that yes, this skill will ultimately convert into some employment or some other opportunities that can be a very helpful for some sustainable livelihood for that matter.
Reducing the gap, especially the gap of communication.
I think that we need to really make the sector appealing for the youth. Why is it no more lucrative to the youth? The perception, the re-engagement of the youth, and it would only be possible, perfect, that if you would modernize the agriculture sector, that would increase the profitability and address the issues of land holding, for example, because that is the key factor in terms of modernizing the agriculture sector. For example, in India, what they have done is that the state is backing the leasing of the land to the youth population, and they are providing specific targeted financing to encourage these youth, particularly agricultural graduates who come from the rural areas, to have farming, and there have been great successes with that. I think that also, I mean, there are initiatives in Pakistan. For example, the Kamyab Jawan program could be expanded to include special window for the youth, for the agriculture sector. But also, I think another aspect that is important, that where PPF experimented with the incubation of the agripreneurs, and we partnered with NUST and the Institute of Management Sciences in Peshawar, and whereby we had a few cases of incubation where youth were given the opportunity to come up with business ideas. And vertical farming or hydroponic, for example, there have been great successes. So I think that we need to make this sector lucrative in one way or the other by modernizing it. That is very important. And then we also need to look for off-farm opportunities. I mean, agriculture should not merely be about production, but agriculture should be considered as a broader industry. So by the time a product should leave a rural area, it should have been already, let's say, enriched with the local value addition, so that most of the economic benefit remain within the community for the farmers. So I think we need to look at a little bit different models as such, apart from the most important challenge, that is the land holdings and addressing the land ownership. Thank you.
Exactly. No, luckily, if we have challenges, there are some alternate livelihood opportunities as well. Before I go to my, I am aware of the time constraint. There will be one final round of questions. Just to update you that we will start our lunch at about 1:20, 1:25 after this session. So I forgot to update you. So please be patient with us. I know there is one more session and then it will be end. Okay, so as you said that innovative, so my next question is, what are those innovative livelihoods? Some of you mentioned also that, but we would like to see more that how we can build through that the resilience of the vulnerable communities. I can see that, for example, you mentioned hydroponic, ecotourism, or agritourism, organic farming, e-commerce, no incubation centers. So I would like to hear more on that. Yeah, Rashid, you can.
I mean, we have examples in Pakistan. Look at ecotourism. If you go to Gilgit-Baltistan and those areas, and if you go to Hunza, let's say specifically, the entire economic scene has transformed in that area. And that is because of the off-farm. Similarly, if you look at, I would quote the EU-funded, an example from the EU-funded peace program in the Malakand division, where they were, after the incident of security incident where the extremists were vacated from that area, EU started a peace program. That is, the communities were moved from subsistence farming to high-value crops, like saffron and also the floriculture. And today, if you look at the production from there, it's 10 times economically beneficial to the communities. And today in Islamabad, most of the glades that are being sold are coming from those Malakand areas, which was never previously done. Similarly, for example, if you look at the honey products, for example, from the north as well as from the southern KP areas, they have been having off-farm benefits for the communities. So I think what is important is that to move away a little bit from the production side. Another example that I would quote is the renewable energy, for example. PPF has established local grids that are managed by the communities, microhydel as well as solars. So they are not only providing the power, inexpensive power to the communities, but also are generating profit for the welfare of the communities. In some of the areas, for example, in Malakand division, the utility company that has been developed under the microhydels, they are generating profits. The communities are paying the least expensive electricity. That has spurred the tourism as well as the local enterprise development. But with that, the profit that is generated by these schemes is being used to promote educational services in that area. So I think there could be a lot of opportunities to explore.
So, few facts that the total education budget of Pakistan is approximately 1300 billion, and out of which only 33 billion is allocated to the skill development, whereas the 45% of the employment comes from the private sector and 10% comes from the higher education. So there is a disparity amongst the spending and the desired output. So I would suggest, if you can, I mean, there are so many donors and the government departments are sitting here, there is always a levy on some sort of sectors, like export sectors pay 1% of all the exports to the Export Development Fund, and they have billions and billions of rupees in their fund to spend only for their industries. The same sort of fund is available, USF, for telcos. So why not a fund for the skill development? A levy should be put on the industry that whatever they earn, they should pay some sort of levy to the skill development, and those skill development will only be used for their respective industries. That's how you can increase your budget allocation to the skill development, which is providing more opportunity to the people to generate income as compared to higher education. Secondly, I personally feel that the women participation in labor force is very low in Pakistan as compared to even in our region. If you talk about India, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Indonesia, so we are only 24% women are working in the labor force, whereas the advanced countries, they have more than 50% of the women participation in the labor force. We must try to include our women, which are the major power of this country in terms of population as well, and they have proven themselves in many sectors that they can do a lot. So we must put some sort of policy that women inclusion in the labor force should be there if we want to advance our country towards the prosperity and to make the livelihoods better. Thank you.
Yeah, just add one more point on this one, that identification of right sectors or right trades, that is a very, very critical overall. So we should focus on the sectors or the trainings or the specific courses. Those are quite relevant with the market. So demand and supply, that equation needs to be very much balanced. I just share a very quick example in 1 minute that we conducted a study in some provinces for the 4 different priority sectors, where we found that more than 50,000 workforce is required for those 4 sectors. But somehow when we again did a skill mapping exercise, that what is the capacity of the market to provide those trainings, right? Both in the private sector and as well as in the public sector as well. So by collectively all these training institutes, both in the sectors, so the total capacity was not more than 20,000 per year. So those where trainings can be provided. So for that matter, where it is training is required, that needs to be very specifically pinpoint that what is exactly the need of the market, and after providing training, they can be absorbed by the market as well. So otherwise, in some cases we have seen that some trainings are being provided, but those are not relevant to the market as well. Right? So this relevance is very critical.
Exactly. Now, identification of right sector, and particularly, I mean, in terms of the youth, if you see that, as they mentioned, that we have to think out of the box, not the traditional sectors in terms of the skill development, but we have to bring the new trades as well. And as I mentioned, and some of the panelists also mentioned that ecotourism or agritourism, especially in our northern areas, I'm a witness. It's a great potential, and I've seen in China, especially now, agritourism is becoming booming there, and they have a beautiful site. So, On this, just before we conclude, we have another quick, not presenter, but a quick commenter that Ms. Faiza, she will comment on a conclusion with regard to this session with respect to the gender perspective. So Faiza, if you are here around, please, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me here. Actually, it is, of course, like it is not more about from the gender lens, because Asim Pasha has already give his speech more gender inclusive. But as livelihood is the backbone of social protection, when we talk about data integration, when we talk about from top to bottom and bottom to top coordination, digitalization of the data, climate-induced funds, and partnership. So it's all revolve around the social welfare of the people. So in Pakistan, where the livelihood depend mostly on the agriculture industry, so I think the topic livelihood sustainability is really important and is really under the cloud of climate and disaster risk. So women who are making 50% of the population, and if we empower women and include them in every design of the framework systems, so it can contribute more to the economic empowerment of the country. So the main takeaways I would like to give here from the panel discussion. So it is like more about the skill development, which is broadly addressing the rural livelihood, and where the data integration and strategic communication is more important, so that the rural people are more aware of the modern agriculture practices and the modern technology. Okay, and then the Punjab Skill Development Fund, whose design is really revolving around the engagement of women inclusion and empowerment. So such designs can also be, integrated in other system of the provinces. And then the graduation program, the most important is to consider the economic access in the market, which is really important, because looking at to the next step as per Khurram Bhatt Sahab, which I really like, is very important. Like, yes, we are providing, like we are empowering and capacitating people from the skills, but the market access is also very important. And then attracting the young generation. So this is, I like this topic a lot, because in Pakistan, this is the very good forum where all the stakeholders of these topics are sitting in the same room. So in Pakistan, I have realized that making the agriculture industry more modern is lacking. Because EU, EIT Food is really working on it, and they are attracting more and more young people to the agriculture industry. So this is my humble request that, whoever are the owner of this area, they should really think about and follow the design of EIT Food, because they are not only discussing about the production or the conventional agriculture, but it is a more broader world. Over there, as already Ghulam Nabi said, that it is, often of the industry, as well as in broader sense is also a business creation. So with this, I will thank you so much. I will close the session. And power is the main objective of the power is to secure the social welfare of the people. So in the room, I would request everyone to raise hands together to address the ASP and SP challenges. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, the message is clear. The more you reduce the gender gap, the more livelihood opportunities will be successful. With this, I close the session. Please give a round of applause to our panelists. And with this, we invite you for the lunch. But before, I think maybe there is some announcement.
So thank you very much to our panelists. So this concluded session 9. We have session 10, and we are requested because maybe if you were here in the first session, we are streaming also the final sessions. So that's why we need to be finished with session 10 at 3:30. Meaning you go now for lunch and we have exactly 1 hour. So meaning you have to be back by 2:30 for the session 10, 2:30 on the spot, yeah? I know you promised me and then you don't keep, some of you don't keep the promise, but it's okay. We are in Pakistan, but 2:30, okay? I try my luck.